It's a mess in this attic, lot going on, but there ain't no need to panic. Come on up and join, we getting wild, getting manic. Spitting truth for all you fanatics. Every week got something new to say. Ain't no filter, this shit coming straight from the brain. It's coming straight from the brain. Yeah, it's coming straight from the brain.
What's up, everybody? Today is Friday, February 12th. I'm coming at you quickly today with an episode with Nick NORTIER. He's old growth creative. He's a muralist. He's a poet. Man, this kid is cool. We had a great conversation. This was pre-recorded about a week and a half ago. He brought some gifts. He brought a print over, some stickers. Future guests, don't be afraid to follow in Nick's footsteps and bring some goods. Stick around. If you're watching this, great. You're going to see a lot of pictures. If you're listening to it, please check out the show notes. I'll link to some of Nick's artwork. He's got some very prominent pieces. Most recently, he has a very large mural in the Grand Rapids Gerald R. Ford Airport, so very high visibility. Next time you're there, if you've been there recently, you've already seen it. Next time you're there, check it out. He's Nick NORTIER. He's old growth creative. We have similar tastes in music. He's a cool, creative soul. I'm so glad that he stopped by in the attic. Enjoy this one, folks. Let's start the show.
I ain't happy. I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future.
I'm here with Nick NORTIER. He's Old Growth Creative on Instagram. Is that the name of your business?
Yes.
Old Growth Creative. Explain a little bit about who Nick NORTIER is, about what Old Growth Creative is, and whatever else you want to get into.
I am a Grand Rapids-based illustrator, mural painter, woodworker, occasional spoken word poet. But yeah, my main focus is murals. And yeah, I guess Old Growth Creative kind of just came from like the idea of like an old growth forest and how, you know, there's just none of them left. Like they've all just been chopped down.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it kind of comes from that, and just like kind of just like the sense of awe that you feel like if you get to go into an old forest, or like if you stand in front of like a giant tree sort of thing, like yeah, I don't know. I just love that sort of stuff.
Doesn't it kind of make you feel insignificant in a way, in a good way?
Oh, totally.
Like that
totally.
tree is just gonna last so much longer than us. Like,
oh, yeah.
You know.
I was looking at this tree the other day in Riverside Park that, I mean, it's, you know, it would take like 3 or 4 people to like wrap around it, and it's just so cool to look at.
Well, it seems like a lot of your murals. I follow you on Instagram. I've seen a lot of your murals in person as well. Most all of them, to my understanding, have some natural element to them in terms of the subject, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally. Yeah, that's another reason I picked that name. It's just because I just love I love painting nature.
Yeah. So what are some of the major projects that you've been wrapping up?
The one that I'm like the most stoked about is the mural at the airport. That was like a crazy project. I was super excited to have landed that job.
It's a great job. It's a high visibility job too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
What's the subject on that one? What's that all about?
Yeah, for that one they wanted like a West Michigan theme sort of thing. So I was like, yeah, all right, I can do that. And so yeah, I typically send, like, each time I have a client project, I usually send like, you know, 2 or 3 different concepts. And with this one, I just did the heron, and I just sent that one. I was like, I just like this one.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, sweet, like do that. And I was like, okay.
Who's the client in that case? Like, is there a board of commissioners or something, or what is it? Who's the client?
Yeah, Gerald R. Ford Airport has they have like an art board, sort of thing. And yeah, so they kind of like did a review. And yeah, I had to like meet with like one of the airport directors. And then I had to go through, actually had to do like an FBI background check, which is weird. And then I had to I had to do like airport training, and I had to get a badge. And yeah, it was really crazy. It was really weird.
What's the thought being that you could while you're painting, perhaps like cut a hole in the wall and hide in there and then like blow it up or something? Is that what the security concern is?
Well, I was past TSA the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So since I was past TSA, you know,
You could have been handing stuff to passengers or whatever. You could have been doing, yeah.
yeah.
So how many flights did you just jump on just for day trips?
Oh man, I thought about going to Florida a lot, but
So it's a big. So there's more than one element to that mural, though, right? So there's some floral elements. There's the heron. It's kind of the show. Like, what is the overall size or scale of that project?
oh man, it's kind of a weird spot because it's like an L-shaped, like it's a hallway, or it starts on like this main area, then it goes down this hallway. And like the main area is, I don't know, like maybe 20 feet tall. And then it goes into the hallway, which is about like 8 feet tall, maybe. And the whole thing is like 75 feet long.
That's a
something
big
like that.
piece of art.
It was, yeah, it's a lot of wall space.
It's a lot of wall space. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there like some really outdated pictures of like Holland and stuff there before?
Oh yeah, totally. Like I don't know if they were necessarily like where my mural is, but
Yeah, it needed an update.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Well, great job on that. That's a huge project to land.
Thanks, man.
So does that, from a business perspective, do you use that? Or, that's like just such a huge advertisement. That's the beauty of your work. It's like you don't have to really put any money into marketing because it's there already, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what do you do for client acquisition? Is it word of mouth typically, or what is it?
Yeah, literally every client I've had has been word of mouth. It's been kind of crazy. Like I painted my first mural at Mulligan's Pub in Easttown with a buddy of mine for like Past Blue Ribbon and yeah, in Mulligan's. And ever since we painted that mural, like once I got that done, I had something I could show.
Right.
And then like I did a bunch of networking and stuff, landed another job, and then from there it's just been word of mouth. And
So how deep are you into, from a time perspective, into Old Growth Creative?
about 5 years, I think.
So you've been word of mouth solid books for 5 years. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I'm super grateful for for every client I get and everything, and it's wild.
To the same token, you do awesome work. Folks listening, if you're not able to watch this on YouTube, then I'll put a link together with a photo album in the show notes. Also, Nick's Instagram account will be there too. Go check all these out. The work is purely it's wonderful. It looks great. So the same token of advertising, you also have to make sure you're on your game, because I know what it looks like when I screw up on a little painting if I'm just screwing around. When you screw up on a 800 square foot painting or whatever it is,
oh yeah,
it's a little bit different game. So how do you balance the making this perfect versus project management, timing, and all of that? That's got to be a constant battle, right?
Oh yeah, I always go for the perfectionist route, and then like end up spending like way more time than I think I'm gonna spend. Like I'm like, all right, this will take a week and some change, and then next thing you know, it's like, all right, I want to do this detail and this detail, and like because you can only add so much detail when you like start your concept and you're working small.
Yeah.
But once you get it up on the wall, you have different ideas and different things come together. So it ends up taking a little longer usually just because of that.
So what do you do? Explain the process a little bit. What's your first once they have an approved brief or whatever they've kind of said go on?
Mm-hmm.
What's your first order of business before you start adding detail?
So basically, like once the concept is approved, I'll do like a drawing like to scale, usually just on just like in like 18 by 24 piece of paper or something like that.
Yeah.
And then from there, do as many details as I can. Occasionally I'll like bring it into like Affinity Designer or Illustrator and vectorize it, and do mock-ups and things like that.
Right.
And then from there, I'll either project it or use a doodle grid to transfer the image onto the wall. And once it's on the wall, it's just
So, what's a doodle grid? I don't even know what a doodle grid is.
Yeah, doodle grid is I just learned this technique last year actually, and it's pretty cool. Like a traditional grid, you do like 1 inch by 1 inch to 1 foot by 1 foot or something like that, and
Right.
you can transfer your image. A doodle grid, basically you start like just the wall's there, and you just like doodle all over it, like just silly little doodles.
Like normal size, like you'd be doing on paper.
Well, a little bit bigger.
Okay, so you'd
like,
scale it up to the size. Okay,
yeah, like each doodle is like a foot tall, something like that.
right.
So then what you do is there's this app, Blend something or other, and you take a photo of the wall, and then you have already have like your image saved that you want to draw,
Yeah.
and then you combine the two in the app, and then you just kind of like blend them, and then you can see like where your drawing is in relation to each of your little doodles.
Oh,
And then so when you're on the wall, like you look at your phone and be like, okay, so like the top of
goes to this arc or something, or
yeah.
so you're basically just drawing, just messing around to give yourself some reference points.
Yeah, yep. Totally.
That
Yep,
seems
that's
like-
exactly what it is. Yeah, they're all reference points.
That's kind of a lot of additional work though, but it must save time at the end of it all, or
It kind of depends. Like a
Yeah.
projector is definitely the fastest way. And the most accurate.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not always an option. So in that case, like a doodle grid is what I use.
what kind of conditions create bad projector conditions, like high brightness and all of that?
Yeah, like if I have to start during the day and I like can't start at night for whatever reason, or like if I just don't have like access to power.
Yeah.
I did one last year where I used a doodle grid because I messed up on a part, and then the next day I just wanted to keep going, so I just like did a doodle grid and like finished it, and
Yeah.
I don't know, that sort of thing.
I mean, a doodle grid in and of itself could be really cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're super cool.
Do you ever just nail the doodle grid and say, you know what, I'm not going to do the rest of it?
No.
So what is it, a muralist? Is that the name? Muralist?
Yeah.
So you're a muralist. You're the first muralist I've ever had in here.
Right on.
It's a very white space. You can probably see this.
Mhm.
We have a large canvas denim type area here. That's a possible spot that Old Growth Creative should put some work in. And then there's also this area down here. So I would love to hire you to do that. So we got to figure out what we want it to look like.
Yeah.
So how much of your client interaction is creative discussion, and how much of it is, how much are you being given?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it varies from client to client. Some clients are very specific. They're like, we want like this and this sort of thing. Other clients are like, we have no idea what we want. Can you like show us some ideas, sort of thing? And sometimes they'll like look at my previous work and they're like, oh, we like this from this mural, or that from that mural, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it varies on all of them.
You're obviously an artist.
Mhm.
All the things you mentioned, woodworking, poetry, painting on various media. You're an artist at the end of the day. Was that an interest that you just jumped on when you were a kid and you never stopped?
Oh yeah. Basically I was like always drawing in grade school, and fourth grade was like really the year that cemented it. Because like I would go to my friend Mark's house every day, like after school, because my mom was working and whatnot, and so we'd go to his house, and like he lived like in the Fulton Heights neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we would like scavenge cans and return them for deposit, and then we go to Argos and like buy comic books and then we just like go back to his house and just draw from them.
Copy the comics or make your own characters and things like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I would draw like Spider-Man and like Wolverine and that sort of stuff. And it's kind of funny, like back then, like Mark was and like still is like an amazing at drawing. And like I remember like I had this drawing of Wolverine and I couldn't get the hands right. And I was like, dude, can you like fix these hands for me? And he was like, yeah. And he like fixed the hands, and then he like literally just ended up just like redrawing the entire thing, and then it was just his at that point. But yeah, so that's how it all started.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so is Mark still an artist?
He still draws a lot.
Yeah.
He doesn't like do it for a living.
I should say he's still an artist, obviously. But
Yeah,
is he a
absolutely.
professional artist? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, was there a good art program? Are you from Grand Rapids?
Yeah. Yep.
So, did you have any opportunities to learn like specialized art? Is that opportunity here in GR?
Like I took art classes like all throughout like high school, and then I did a UICA program think when I was a junior in high school. I did that for film though. But that was super cool. And then after that, I just like once I got to college, I just like had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like I went to GRCC
Yeah.
and I was just taking like, your
Like general eds.
yeah, doing all that. At that point, I hadn't like even like made art for like a year or two, and then like one day I just like randomly walked through like the art wing, and I was like, you know what, I could do this, and so I like signed up for a drawing class, and I was like, duh, like, and so then I went through like the GRCC art program, which is great. Like if you're looking to go to school for art, like GRCC, like fucking rules.
Yeah. What did you like about it? Like what did they offer you that you thought was special?
Their classes are just really good. Like all the professors there are, I don't know, they're top notch, and yeah, I don't know, like they're just good classes.
Yeah, dude, and it's not that expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing too. It's like
Exactly.
I didn't go to community college, but looking back, I should have. It's like why not?
It saves a ton of money. Like, but yeah, then after that, I went to Kendall for illustration.
That's a great
And
art school.
yeah, I loved it too. But again, professors there are awesome as well. And that's when I like really started diving into like woodworking too, and yeah.
So this is a tough question, probably. Maybe you've thought about it before. What do you think draws you to art? Just kind of describe what it is to you, why it's important, and what your philosophy is on it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess and it's so important to me. Like, I realize if I don't do art, then like I start to slip, and like start to like fall into like depression and anxiety and things like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like art just like, it's kind of therapy in a way, like I always feel like a lot better like when I'm like drawing, and
Do you think it's because you're for me, I feel the same way, and I think it's like I'm focusing on something so outside of myself at that point that you can't really spend time like worrying about what's going on inside or whatever. Is that part of it?
oh, totally. I mean, it definitely is like an escape from from the real world. Because with a drawing, you can make whatever you want. You can make your own little world, and design that and however you feel like. So it definitely is an escape in that regard.
Right. And then like, are there parallels? Like, do you get the same buzz from woodworking that you do from mural making?
Oh
Mural
yeah,
painting?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love doing woodworking stuff. It's kind of funny. Like recently, I've been in the wood shop more than I've been drawing. It's terrible. I barely even draw right at this moment in time. But yeah, like I don't know, just building stuff is super fun too, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to see the progress, right?
yeah,
Like that's what I like
absolutely.
about woodworking too, or just generally building stuff is you can see like, oh, I'm actually doing something today,
Yeah,
It's like obvious productivity.
yeah, absolutely.
Of course, nothing is more productive than painting an entire side of a building.
Takes a while, but yeah.
So what do? You have a lot of scaffoldings. You have like scaffolding and stuff like that. And then are you doing everything like right up close on it, or are you having to do some like extended pole type work?
um, like I'll use a roller like an extension pole for certain things.
Yeah.
Like for the airport, for example, like all the background shapes, like I cut them with a brush first, and then like use like a roller to go through and fill them.
Yeah.
But yeah, each one varies, depending on the scale. Most of them I've done with the ladder. I bought some scaffolding 2 years ago, just like a single layer.
Yeah.
I've used a lift a handful of times, whenever it's necessary.
Yeah.
So each project is different. But yeah, I mean, like I'm always, right next to the wall, and it's always kind of weird because like, you can, stand directly next to it and work on it for however many hours, and then, you finally step back and look at it and be like, oh, this looks great, or like, God damn, I've been working on this for this long and that's all I got done. Like,
Do you ever step back and say, "Oh man, I screwed that up"?
oh yeah, totally.
So you have to find a balance then of like taking sanity checks but not blowing up your flow either, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel like you get into have you seen the Pixar Soul movie that came out on Disney Plus?
No, not yet. I want to, but I
It's
haven't
like
seen it.
getting a lot of attention because it's good. It's really good. And but in that whole thing, you find out about flow, and like when people are in their flow, their soul actually leaves their body and it's kind of just on autopilot. And you have to feel that at times, right? When you're in the flow, right? I mean, do you ever just put it down if you're not feeling that way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like it's great like once you get into that zone, and you can just work. But there's also times like when getting into that zone just like isn't attainable for one reason or whatever.
Right.
And a lot of those times like I'll just keep working anyways because I gotta get it done.
Yeah, it's different when you're doing work for like an actual project. It's like art in and of itself is very different than art as a business.
Yeah.
Deadlines and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably helps though at times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Prevents you from tinkering. This wall behind you, like that thing just took forever because I had to sand every one of those blocks. And
You sanded everyone. Oh well, yeah, because once you cut them, you gotta.
Yeah, because I was cutting them quick too to do that quickly.
Yeah.
And they're just furring strips, so they're not like super high quality wood or anything. But that was an example where I kind of wish I had a deadline.
Yeah,
because I probably would have made some different decisions, but I just kept going. And even now, like I told Jessica this weekend, I want to just keep building that out every year until eventually we're just surrounded by little cubes all around us.
I love it, man. I'm kind of doing a similar thing right now at the studio. Like in the wood shop area, there's this like the wall that like our chop saw is by. Is just like 2x4 studs with some like foam insulation and then like these like weird panels on top of it on parts of it but not all of it, and like it just looks shitty.
It's just unfinished kind of looking.
And the Moon, the studio next to us, they had like a bunch of like barnwood, and between myself and like a bunch of other studio mates, we have like tons of different paintings like that people have done on wood. So I've been like working on this barn wall and incorporating in like different pieces of barnwood and like different chunks of paintings.
It's cool.
And that sort of thing, like it's been a ton of fun because like my goal is to like if I can get one board up every time I'm at the studio, like I feel satisfied.
Yeah, you're moving the needle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like almost halfway done with it now, just like doing that. And sometimes I'm like, all right, cool, I got an extra half hour, so I'm gonna do like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, it's a slow project. And
so is that kind of your general, if you're going to a mural, you have X amount of time to get it done, you're not feeling it that day, which that's just going to be the reality. Do you always kind of try and set the goal of like, okay, I got to get something done, or do you ever just say like, there's no value for me to be here today?
Very, very rarely do I ever say like call it. Like even if I'm just like feeling like shit, like I'm like still just gotta keep pushing at it. There's times like what I'll call it early. Like and like sometimes like I'll get into a funk and like if I start messing up, that's when I'm like, okay, like I gotta.
Yeah, because then it's just actually costing you time.
Yeah,
on top
absolutely.
of your time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you talked a little bit about your studio, so it's like a collective or something, or what? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, kind of. It's Dinderbeck Studios. We're over on corner of Straight and Wealthy, and kitty corner from us is Tanglefoot Studios. Yeah, it's great. It's like a community-based like print shop sort of thing.
Cool. So what kind of equipment do they have in there?
Oh man, we have a lot of stuff there. We have like a whole room dedicated to like letterpress, like super ancient. I mean, okay, like like 100-year-old sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. We got like stuff for like woodblock prints. And then in the other room we have like a screen print press and conveyor, so we can do apparel. And then like different stations for doing like flat stock printing, screen print stuff. And then recently, my buddy Nick and I have been kind of transforming this like storage space, like hallway, into this wood shop. Cool. And yeah, so
there's independent artists that are paying rental space essentially to the studio.
Yep. Yeah, we have I think 10 people right now, 9 or 10.
Kind of from all sorts of different media.
Yep. Yeah. It's mostly print based work.
Yeah.
But we just had an artist join a few weeks ago, and she does oil paintings. She's like, I guess her and Ben are the two that do oil paintings. But for the most part, it's all printmaking.
Was that a big adjustment for you? I mean, I assume you went from not having a studio to having a studio at some point, or
Um,
not having an external studio at least.
yeah, it was a big adjustment. Like I'd been going there, like I first started going there like almost 10 years ago, like for different shows and whatnot. And in the last 5 years, um, I've been going there like off and on, like for like the open studio time.
Yeah.
But that would be like once a week, for just a few hours. And then last year I finally joined full time, and so now I'm just there like all the time, just working on stuff. And
Yeah. What was the issue? I mean, I find myself in this is a very different kind of art, but like I still find myself having boundary issues with it because it's here, it's in my house. So we hang out here now because it's a cool space. So like,
yeah,
I'm never too far away from my audio stuff or my video stuff that I'm working on. So
yeah.
what's your advice to me and to other people that are struggling, whether it's creatively or otherwise, to separate, their passion from the other responsibilities they have, like family life and all of that?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person. I'll be honest, like it's
I think all artists are the wrong people to ask on that, probably.
yeah.
But
Because like I also have like at home, like I have like our other bedroom is like my office kind of studio space sort of thing.
yeah.
So like I'm always surrounded by it, like no matter what too. And like so honestly I don't really know what to say.
You're about 4 months into your marriage,
Yeah, yep.
right? And so is your wife is understanding.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, is she an artist herself?
In her own regards.
Yeah.
She's an amazing cook, and an amazing baker.
That's very much art too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She likes cares about the presentation and all of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She got really good at making like macaroons and macarons.
Oh yeah. What's your thoughts on the great British baking show?
Oh, it's great.
I mean, Noel Fielding, the guy from Mighty Boosh or whatever. I love that dude. Oh man. So okay, so you really have you have a house on Fuller, not you personally, but you have a project that you did on Fuller where it's kind of a curb, or if you will, kind of a foundation to a driveway. I don't even know what you call that thing.
Yeah, like a little retaining wall.
Yeah, retaining wall. Yeah, and you painted it with a black background and these really bold, bright flowers. And that got me thinking, like, why in the world aren't there just houses that are murals?
Yeah, it's been something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. There are just not here, except for Brian Kolschlick's mural, which he finished painting a few months ago.
That's on Michigan, you said?
Yep, yeah, in Michigan, kind of by Duke's.
Yeah. So okay, so then if you want to do it, we'd happily be a billboard for you.
That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, I'm totally down to paint the outside of your house. That'd be great.
I think it'd be cool. I think like it'd be cool to have like an like ombre, kind of like that faded. I think that would be kind of cool. It kind of shows like the color more saturated towards the bottom and then whiter on top.
Okay, yeah.
And then to have some other kind of something on top of that. Like I don't know, all of your art is cool. So do you ever feel like because it's word of mouth, because people tend to see your other work and then therefore it's somewhat derivative to that at times because people like it? Do you ever find yourself feeling like you're getting bogged down in kind of the same old stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How do you avoid that? Like how do you break out of that?
Just I don't know, you just kind of keep pushing, and just like each one try something new, and like even though like a client will ask for like a certain thing, like I'll always like okay, like I can do this certain thing, but maybe I'll add in this element as well.
Yeah, keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh, yeah, and I don't know, keep trying new things. Obviously, I like doing flowers a lot and plant life and things like that, which I will continue doing. But I'm constantly trying to experiment and just like do different things. That's where printmaking has been really helpful too, because I've been.
By the way, look at this beautiful. Look at this. It's going to be hard to see in this lighting, maybe. But I'll post a picture of this. This was a gift from Old Growth Creative. This is kind of a better feel for the print right here, probably the white one on the back. Is that right?
Yeah. It's the same thing as a sticker, though.
Yeah, sticker. So look at that. So this will be up here. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like because your medium is, and you can do something that small, or you can do something as big as possible.
Yeah.
Your universe of potential clients is endless.
Yeah.
So this is I'm putting you on the spot right now. You have people listening with some disposable income in some cases, and they need something painted somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to pitch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that you're into it that much, not that you're into that part of it that much, but like it's still your business, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So who should consider getting a hold of Old Growth Creative? And
I mean, anybody who has a blank wall that they want to look better than it currently does, I will come paint it.
we'll be back right after this short break.
Well, you better not fuck this up. Well, you better not fuck this up. Well, there ain't no other.
Do you ever get pretty boring jobs
Um,
that don't really pique your creative fancy so much but you still do it because it's work?
Not so much anymore. I definitely have in the past. But yeah, for whatever reason, I've been like super stoked about like every job that I've had. And yeah,
I mean, it's so cool that it's your own business. So like the work you're doing is going right back into your pocket too. So that has to help keep it incentivized, keep you incentivized too, right?
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So
Definitely.
where do you envision the arc of Old Growth Creative? You've done it for 5 years
Mhm.
without really having to market yourself too much because, like I said, the medium is the art,
Mhm.
or is the marketing. So, like, where's the trend? Where do you see Old Growth Creative going over the next 20 years?
I
I know it's a
mean,
long time.
yeah, I mean, my goal is just to keep painting murals and keep doing print work and stuff. Like ideally, like expand, further out. I'd love to do more stuff like across the U.S. and
Yeah.
like one day start doing like international stuff. That would be amazing. And yeah, so that's just my goal, just to kind of keep painting walls.
So you heard it here. He's not stopping until all of Grand Rapids is muralized.
That's
what
true.
you heard it here.
That's true.
As Sherwin Williams says, cover the earth. I never liked that, honestly. Like they have the paint pouring on the earth. It looks like it's like drowning out the trees and stuff.
Oh
Like,
yeah, totally.
it's
yeah.
a bad, but I think that's been a successful marketing. But I personally think it's environmentally unsound. But
No, I agree. Like I really like the illustration. I think the illustration is pretty cool, but it's also like don't pour paint like in
just
like
a giant bucket of paint all over the whole globe.
yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it's taking your business that could be otherwise muralized.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So how much of your work how much of your work is commissioned through print smaller stuff
Mhm.
versus the larger scale?
Like print commissions per se are I guess pretty small. Like I have like every once in a while, like I'll have people who are like hey, can you make me like this print with like this color scheme sort of thing? I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
So that's pretty small. But printmaking in general, and like, well, not doing markets this year, unfortunately. But like that sort of thing, like online sales of like stuff like that is over this last year has become a bigger part of my business.
That's more like just retail, that you're just kind of creating it and selling it.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be exciting though. So how much did COVID impact your business?
Quite a bit. I still have like one job I was supposed to do last March, which still hasn't happened. And like I reached back out to them last week actually, and they're like, yes, like we still want to do this. We just don't know like our corporate policy right now if we can like have contractors come in and stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's just too murky still.
yeah, so so that one's been on hold, and then like I was supposed to do one for my buddy's brewery up in Montague, but they've been closed forever, so
Yeah, they're gonna be less likely to spend money right now, and they're not bringing anything in. Yeah.
Despite that though, I still had I was still pretty booked solid through 2020, to the point actually where I kind of got burnt out, and I'm just like kind of in like a nice like break zone right now. I still like I did the airport, and I did a huge mural for Barrett Boatworks in Spring Lake, and then
What was that? What was the subject of that one?
They're a marina, and way back in the day, like they used to like build rowboats, and like small sailboats.
That's cool.
So I kind of wanted like,
Call back to their history, kind of.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and that's an example of like one of the murals where it's like we want this very specific thing,
Yeah.
which is fine. I dig it. I had a great time.
Yeah, I can imagine both being interested. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you probably enjoy the fact that you can turn off your brain a little bit more and just execute.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, it is kind of nice because like sometimes, like if people are like, "Oh, we have no idea what we want," it's like, all right, cool. Well, what do you like?
Like, can you give me something?
Yeah, yeah, like because but yeah.
I've seen some bad murals. Have you been? This would be crazy if you say yes to this. My head is going to explode on these cameras. Have you ever been to the Boulevard in Midland, Michigan?
I haven't. No.
Thank God for you. There is a mural on the back of that bar. It's inside. It's on the inside walls, so you can see it when you're in there. Of like generic sports players,
Hmm.
and they're just like not very muscly, and their kind of like teeth are odd. They're just like it's not good. It's like it wouldn't have looked good on a small format, and then to make it this like life size people. So no offense. There is passion put into it for sure. I'm not dogging anyone that's expressing themselves. It's cool with me. But if you're the Boulevard owner, maybe consider calling Old Growth creative. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
So talk a little bit about poetry.
Yeah, I do a handful of spoken word poetry. For the past couple years, pre-pandemic, I was a regular at Crescent Vibes.
So what is that? Is that an open mic, or do you have to qualify for that? How do you get involved with that?
It was an open mic at Crescent Brewery,
Yeah.
hosted by Bree Ross and Kid Kane, and yeah, it was just super fun. Cause like I always kind of dabbled in it, but like never like really like got out there doing it, and then yeah, started going to this one, and
Well,
yeah, I really dig it.
It has to scratch a different kind of. It has to scratch a different itch, right?
Oh yeah, it's a totally different itch.
Very extroverted comparatively.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny comparing the two because like with illustration and like the beginning parts of murals are like always done, like just me,
Yeah.
Alone drawing
For long periods of time.
long periods of time, and then like poetry like starts out that way, but then to like then you're performing in front of like a group of people and stuff. And so.
Well, what part do you? Maybe there's no preference.
Mm-hmm.
Just explain how you rank the writing of it
Mm-hmm.
versus the preparing of it versus the recitation of it. How does that all come together for you?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't write that often. It honestly takes me like a super long time to like finish a poem. Like if I get one poem a year, like I'm stoked. Like
Yeah, that's crazy because you're so productive on your other things. So are you just more of a perfectionist when it comes to your poetry?
Well, I mean, I'm a perfectionist in both regards. It's just I just don't do it as much.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I just don't like necessarily like quite always have the time to devote to it because I'm like always working on art related stuff.
Right.
But I have like a whole notes section in my phone of just like different ideas and things for pieces.
Like little poem seeds.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I don't know, like it just kind of happens like I don't know, like kind of organically just like throughout the year, like think of something like, okay, this would be cool, and like I'll add it to this piece and be like, okay, yes, this works.
Yeah.
And then like I won't work on that poem for like 3 or 4 months, and then like get back into it sometime. And
So do you keep a pretty strict rhyme scheme all the time? Does that change all the time? Do you find yourself getting stuck in kind of those things sometimes as well? Talk about that.
Yeah, I do get stuck in like the kind of rhyme stanza sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I do.
I can't really explain it, but there's a term for it. I forget what it is. Yeah, so I do find myself getting stuck in that. But I don't know, like I really dig like I grew up on and still to this day just like absolutely love hip hop and just like the flow and like the rhymes and yeah, so that influences my poetry a lot. And just
Yeah.
like I really dig being able to like like count syllables and like, and then kind of layer those different lines with like, and have like certain syllables throughout the bigger rhyme
Yeah.
match.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
And
It's kind of complex. Like, it doesn't necessarily look like it's rhyming on the paper, but then when you hear it, if it's said the right way, it does.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into. I want to hear some of your original poetry, but
Okay.
this is the inspiration for this. This is the inspiration for this show, of course. "A Light in the Attic" by Shel Silverstein. By the way, Shel Silverstein looks different than you might have remembered him to look. I never knew he looked like that. He's cool as hell looking. That's him, like in Key West, just doing the thing. I'm gonna open one up and I'm gonna read one, and I'm gonna do the same to you. Okay.
Okay.
This one's called "Snap." By the way, this is the first time this book's really made it into the production. It's sad.
Nice.
"Snap. She was opening up her umbrella. She thought it was going to rain. When we all heard a snap, like the clap of a trap, and we never have seen her again." It's kind of sad. That's it.
Right on.
Man, the umbrella's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And I love Chelsea. Oh, you want me to read one?
No, you got to read one too.
Okay.
Whatever you open to.
Okay.
And then you can do one of your own, of course, too.
Okay.
Not can. I'm excited to hear you do one of your own as well.
Word. Well, I opened to this one, page 77, shapes. A square was sitting quietly outside his rectangular shack when a triangle came down, kerplunk, and struck him in the back. "I must go to the hospital," cried the wounded square. So a passing rolling circle picked him up and took him there.
Wow.
Dig it.
Shapes looking out for other shapes.
I love
Good,
it.
right?
We need more of that.
We do, though, right? Okay. Let's hear one of yours.
I have a handful that I really like doing, and I've never aside from like open mic, I've never really shared them, so I'm kind of excited to.
I'm really excited. Okay, so just for some context, Nick and I have been talking about doing this podcast since the Grand Rapids, the GR Ford Airport project. I think that's when I first saw your work, and so we've been trying. Of course, there's been a pandemic, and Nick got married. He's been busy, etc. But he didn't tell me until probably 5 minutes before he got here that he also is a spoken word poet. And he said, I was hoping I could read something. I'm like, hell yeah. So this is exactly what the show is all about. Follow your creative passions. Do it for a living if you can. And if you can't, continue to do them because there's therapy there. With that, I'm going to change the cameras a little bit because I want this to look a little bit brighter on you for this.
Okay, right on. Yeah, and I don't know. And kind of the reason that I brought it up again is because I haven't been doing it since February or so. Yeah. And yeah, recently I saw my friend Kid Kane, who's the current poet laureate, and she's just an incredible human and incredible poet, and it really got me inspired. I was like, man, I haven't done poetry all year. Yeah, so kind of seeing her kind of.
Is that always the case? Like sometimes when I want to write, I tend to listen to a lot of music. Like I actually like to sing, just to myself. Like I'll just sing because I feel like that gets me going.
Yeah.
Like, is it for you? Is it usually whatever poetry is what gets you fired up for poetry, or do you ever feel just kind of spontaneous inspiration for based on some other spark or whatever?
Yeah, actually, I have a poem about that. When I'm around poets, I write poetry, sort of thing, and if I haven't been around poets a lot this year, so I haven't done any poetry.
Yeah. The Circle of Five, it talks about how you end up emulating you're going to end up acting like and being like your 4 or 5 closest people. And to that point, if you're not around a bunch of poets, you're probably not going to get there, right?
Yeah, totally. Unless you are one, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So, okay, I'm excited. Let's do it. The cameras are ready.
All right, cool.
If you fuck up, just start back. I'll put the best one in.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
So this one's called Hana High. So, let me set the scene. A warm day, the sun is out, the concrete burns, and my pack's on the ground. Side of the road with our thumbs up, we wait for an hour without any luck until we jump in the back of that pickup truck. I throw my bag in first, it's got all my stuff. Give us a ride for about 10 minutes, but they were turning right, so we had to ditch it. So I wait on by those sibling falls, throwing rocks at signs, making payphone calls until a guy named Kai tells me I've got it all wrong. We got a late start, better wait till dawn. If you need a place to crash, all you have to do is follow directions I'm giving to you. Jump over the guardrail, go through the woods, follow the trail to the end, it'll be all good. Follow the road until it forks in two. Take the left-hand drive, I'll be waiting for you. We have a kitchen and we'll make some food, because the universe provides, and I know you know that, dude. So we slept in a tent in their front yard, fought and fucked coldly under the stars until the morning came. It was kind of bizarre. We were again waving our thumbs at cars. It was an hour or two before we got picked up by a couple Colorado dudes who grew their own pot, taking tight turns, observing every beautiful spot, saying, "There's hope for this world. I refuse to believe that there's not. But this road's too congested. There's too many problems. How can a small group of thoughtful people ever expect to solve them? But that's the only thing that ever has indeed." I'm always grateful for that lesson learned from Margaret Mead. Side of the road with our thumbs up. We wait for an hour because we're in no rush till we jump in the back of that rental car, but only for a minute. We're not going far. Get dropped off around a quarter dark. Don't know where we're going, and we ain't that smart. So we loiter for a while. Homicide, Ocean Mile, black sands, banyan trees, so incredibly fertile. Graveyards, oldest dirt, general store. Yeah, let's flirt. Eastern clouds provide a lot of shade, but we still need to find a place to stay until we jump in the back of that rusty ride that gives us a lift down to Oceanside. At Ditto's is where we'll eventually crash, but that's after we rip and we blast. So we go on a ride that's like nothing else. We blast off. Our souls leave the ground. There's eyes in the sky. Geometric samurai, slicing negativity, pulling bad energy aside, releasing up the water, carrying away with the tides, blowing my mind until a monster recites. If you slow yourself down and tune into what is, it'll dance with you, and you'll dance with it. If you release control, give in to the no, the story will finish itself, and you'll be able to go to bed. So go to bed is exactly what we did. We slept on a tarp in a weird backyard. That dude's passed out in a broken down car. It hasn't moved since the middle of March 5 years ago. You can still see the scars. But we've come this far. We have more to go. We have more to learn. We have something to show. Who my guide was that night, I will never know. But they changed my life and enabled me to grow. But as a matter of fact, it was the no saying, "Hey friend, I think you need this. I was going to find you so you could find bliss. I wanted to free your mind and release your demons out multiple at a time. Send them out to the oceans in multiples and let them die." Whatever it is that's holding you back, whatever demons are keeping you from doing what you need to do, send them out to the ocean in multiples so you can fly.
Oh my god, I'm moved by that. Dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. You gonna roll another one? You want to do another one?
Yeah, for sure.
Holy shit, that was so good. How much of that is just figurative, and how much of that is kind of a literal experience?
It's 100% literal experience.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I was in like 2010 or so. I was just like, I don't know, just like, man, just like super depressed and just like needed to like get the fuck out of GR.
Yeah.
And so like saved up money for the entire year, and like next year, dipped to Hawaii and like did like a work trade on like a farm and just like stayed there for a few months, and yeah, so that was that.
Slowed it down big time.
Slowed it down, and
you probably didn't use your phone as much out there. I mean, that was 2010, but you still were on your phone a lot here, probably.
Yeah, and yeah, that was actually like I had my first smartphone at that time, but yeah, it was like a nice like reset. Like I came back and I was like feeling like happy again, which I hadn't in a really long time.
So did the art start flowing better at that point too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like everything started flowing better after that. Like, yeah,
dude, I love that poem. How you mirrored the mood or the emotion you were trying to do by the cadence.
Word.
Yeah, I mean that's super cool. I like how you got really fast talking. I was getting anxious. I'm like, oh fuck, but that's the point, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then at the end, I cried. Jeez Louise. That's the point too, probably.
Nice.
All right, next up.
This one is called "We Build and We Burn," and it's actually sort of an addendum to an Against Me song called "Sink Florida Sink."
I love that song.
Nice.
You gotta fuck it up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs ever.
Hell yeah, I love it. It's so good.
That's still going in this episode.
Nice. Yes. So this is kind of an addendum to that song. So we build and we burn, and we all take our turns, swimming out to the middle of the sea, bringing back what we've learned. And this knowledge keeps expanding like the universe itself. Information is leaked, never reaching its peak. And you will see what is right with you and me. Now this energy is flowing, never allow it to cease. Now we've got the car going and the gears are greased. Shifted into drive and give rides for free. Don't make it complicated, keep it easy. Meditate by the lake so you can sting like a bee. Take a lesson from this willow tree and exist peacefully. 'Cause you and me and everything are part of the same being. And it flows like water and reflects like a mirror. It responds like an echo and it makes you see clear. Stay near to those instincts, trust that voice inside. Connection to the infinite is where wisdom resides. Is your brain a generator or receiver of mind? Do we transcend dimensional planes on the day that we die? Is there a consciousness being connected through neurological tides? Is everything that exists real, or is it all just part of a ride? That one's a little shorter.
I like it. I like it, dude. Yeah. So what's that one mean to you?
I don't know. I guess like the background, well, like stemming off like that Against Me song, like it just talks about how we're all so fucked up, and and yeah, so it's kind of just meant to be like kind of like the opposite of that, like no, you know, like we are okay, and like we're gonna be okay, and we'll be okay because like we can lift each other up, and like that ride, like give rides for free sort of thing, like
Right.
And yeah, and like meditate by the lake, sting like a bee, like, you know, like take time for yourself too, and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's all about symbiosis and like how we're all part of the same deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I feel like that's a needed message now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like-
definitely.
But dude, that's so moving. There's something, man, that's just awesome. Whenever when somebody, I'm gonna move this back.
Thanks, man. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like I was listening to your podcast, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna hit him up and see if like.
Dude, I'm sitting on one of mine, so that's opened myself up. I'm not a very good singer.
Oh yeah, nice.
Dude, that was man, I don't know. I introduced you as a muralist, but that's just not accurate. This guy is a poet. Dude, that's so incredible. So let's leave this on what is this is a tricky one, so we might have to take a little time to get to the one that finally lands on the show. But
Okay.
you know, you've been through some tribulations from a mental health perspective. Who hasn't?
Mm-hmm.
Not to dismiss that. I'm just saying this is going to apply to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that journey and what your advice is to folks. We kind of already know what your advice is, I think, based on your stories today.
Mm-hmm.
But in a nice condensed fashion, I'll use this for promotional and all that.
Yeah.
What is your little nugget of advice to whoever to how you can get through things and why the future is a little bit brighter than maybe what some people are thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. And I mean, it's something that I still struggle with. And like, to be 100% honest, like one of the reasons like I haven't like connected with you since is because like I've kind of been struggling in that regard.
Yeah.
If you find yourself like getting in those like negative mindsets, like for me, like I'll like get like a negative thought or like a thought that is like degrading towards myself,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing, or like think about how things are so shitty, and you know that will lead to another one and another one and another one until it just way super down low. And the thing that's been super helpful for me is being able to catch that like before it starts, which is something that I've like become like decent at like throughout this, at least this last year particularly.
Right.
But
How do you catch it though?
I mean, it's tough. You just gotta like, you kind of have to train yourself. You kind of have to like remind yourself, like as soon as you start like shit talking yourself or like, I don't know, just like start feeling bad. Like, you know, you gotta like be like, wait a minute. No, like this is it. Like this is that thing that I'm doing that like leads to this downward spiral.
Right.
And then you gotta like refocus, and it can be tough. Like, you know, if you're feeling shitty, like it can be totally tough to refocus like on the positives, you know, and be like, you know what, actually like, you know, like I'm a pretty all right person. And like I have friends. That's cool. And like, and I like what I'm doing, and I like what other people are doing. You know, other people making art and music, you know, inspires me, or, you know, other people like following their passion, you know, whether, you know, that could be whatever, like, you know, you could be a nurse, you know, anything, like anybody who's like following their passion, like, like that makes me happy, sort of thing. And like, just gotta try and focus on that. And honestly, yeah, fucking, now that that guy who won't be named is gone.
Yeah, that's gonna help a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna help a lot.
Yeah, just from the new, just the consumption of news is going down, at least.
Yeah,
for me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but that aside, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just being able to try and catch that and refocus it.
So you essentially find a negative thought and replace it with a positive one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let me know what the best way to do that is. I'm still figuring that out too.
Yeah, word.
You know, because it doesn't always manifest as like discreet shit talking to yourself either.
Mm-hmm, yeah, for
you
sure.
know, oftentimes it's other things, whether it's like, you know, envy or whatever. There's other ways that it can manifest, and
totally.
Like, that's why it becomes trickier to identify sometimes, because it's not always the same.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It takes many forms.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, if I were you, let me just tell you, if next time you're struggling, just drive around, dude, and look at all the work you've done. This guy, like, dude, so let's leave it on this. Mm-hmm. How many projects roughly are around Grand Rapids, and do you have a guide of them on your website or something so people can go check them out in person? And if not, why? Make one of those.
Yeah, for sure. I actually joined this website called WeScover, which is exactly that. It's like a you know, it's like a map for public art. Right. But I've been terrible at updating it. But yeah, so I definitely need to do that.
But how big is your catalog? Include every project too. Include every mural. I'm talking murals.
Every mural.
Yeah.
See. Okay.
Hold on. We should clarify. What qualifies as a mural? Is there a size? Does it have to take up an entire? You know, what is it?
For me, the way I think of a mural, I guess, is like anything that's like on a 4x8 sheet or larger. Okay. Is a mural. Anything smaller is a big painting. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so that's official. That's straight from the UICA.
That's how I look at it.
It's plywood or larger. It's a mural. So these are murals in here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That one down there is a mural.
Yeah, that's a mural.
Okay, dude, I'm so grateful you came out. I'm so grateful you shared your poetry. I think when the weather breaks, I envision the show keeping, you know, some level of networking or community that we stick together a little bit. Mm-hmm. So as the weather breaks and you're actively working on projects, I'd love to come and get some audio from you. You know, this will have already been released, so there'll have to be an update. Yeah. But we can show the work, show you actually doing it, and give people a little bit of a feel for what you're doing. Yeah. Most of your work is outside. Is it safe to say most mural work is outside?
Most of it, yeah.
So it's largely seasonal then?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, typically in the winter, you know, I do indoor projects.
Yeah, you kind of schedule it out that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, keep it rolling. People, go look at Old Growth Creative on Instagram. Go look in the show notes. All of the links will be there, including his website and all of the other items that he gives me after this. Nick, man, I'm so grateful you came on. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a great time. It was awesome.
Dude, I think you're a special guy. I love people following their artistic their artistic passions, I guess, and do it. Do you have to be a good poet to go to this Creston Vibes thing when it opens back up?
To be honest, I don't know if it's coming back.
But the point is, you did that. You probably were nervous as hell the first time you performed.
Oh yeah.
You know, 100%. And like, so people just do it. Just no one thought down on you. People thought it was awesome, probably. You know, and it's like, yeah, we have a lot of this. It's the negative talk that we were talking about.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and there's one of the ways to break out of the negative talk is to just face it. Go do the thing that's. And this is such a cliche thing, but kill your masters. You know, like kill the thing that's keep in your way.
Yeah, 100%.
So 100%. Nick proves that. Go check out his work. Hopefully he gets going on the WeScovery stuff so that we can all follow it that way. But if not, go look at his Instagram and you'll be able to see some of these that you have already internalized. You've seen them around town, and it's an inspiration. I appreciate it. I'm honored that you came on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Not one more word tonight between here and there. We'll put a distance the size
across the ocean. So now his heart can beat a skipping rhythm as the cadence carries me. I almost drift away far enough to forget that when it comes you cannot hesitate. And when found, I will write an account and seal it in an envelope addressed to your last known residence. And we sink, and we drown, and what is lost can never be found. Well, these arms did swim until the lungs pulled in. Panic was lost in a deep understanding that you will see what is wrong with everything. What is wrong with you and me? They make all the right reasons to fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up.
I thought it was pretty good.